Hello and welcome to our 4-3 work together problem where we will be posting our special amount columns to our general ledger. So we continue on with our problem from yesterday. We have our same chart of accounts for Omar Boji, and as we scroll down it says Omar Boji owns his service business that used the previous accounts. The separate amounts on each line of the journal have already been posted. That's what we did yesterday. You can see running down the list here, you can see all of the general amount columns have been posted individually. Now it's time for us to post the journal's special amount column totals. Make sure that there is a post reference for each column total in the journal. So as we scroll down here, the thing that I appreciate about Applia and MindTap is that they did total for you. You guys are lucky ducks because when you do your workbook and when you do your test, you obviously are going to have to total your columns. So you will need to make sure that you have a handy dandy calculator unless you're very good at mental math. I'm not good at mental math, so I always have my handy dandy calculator with me at all times. So first things first, we have our two general debit and general credit columns. They do get a total. We still always have to total because they are part of the debits and credits of our accounting equation. However, if you remember from the lesson, we do not post these two totals anywhere. There's a couple of reasons. One, we have already done each of these amounts individually, so there is no place for them to go. Secondly, we do not have an account called general debit. If you look in our general ledger, do you see anywhere here that says general debit? The answer is no. So what happens here is this actually gets a check mark, as does general credit. Now, as I talked about in the opening video about our online working pages ledger, you do need to put these post references in parentheses, but remember that Applia and MindTap does it for you. It will not do that, obviously, when you're in a workbook or a test. So when you do that, don't forget about the parentheses because you will lose points for that. Make sure that you remember to do that. So that brings us to our first special amount column, which is sales. So I'm just going to scroll down so we can hopefully see everything here. Open up our sales account, and then we follow the exact same posting procedure that we did before. So we put in our date. Because it is a total, it's on the last day of the month. We do need to put April because it is the very first line that we're posting in our general ledger. The item gets left blank. If you remember, we're on journal page 1. You can check it if you need to. Journal page 1. And then sales is a credit of $447, which since it's the first entry, that means our balance is a credit of $447. And then we take our account number, which is 410, and we bring it up and we just type it in right underneath our column total for that sales credit. So again, as I talked about in the lecture, when you're posting, not that you could, or you could, but you shouldn't. Essentially, every time that we have a special amount column, we could post these individually, but we're going to get the same amount if we were to post it as a total. So when we post totals, what we're doing is we're just saving time. And isn't that a little bit better to work smarter, not harder, when we're doing all of these numbers? So that's sales. Let's do our cash next. So I'm just going to scroll down just a tish. So we open up cash and we just do the next one in line first, which happens to be our cash debit. So we will put April again, the 30th, first line of the ledger, so it needs the month. Post reference here is 1, journal page 1, and it has a debit of $2,890. Since it's our first entry, that means our balance in cash right now is $2,890. And then don't forget account number, which is 110, goes up underneath the column total. Now, cash is special, obviously, because cash has two special amount columns. We have the general debit, or excuse me, general. We have the cash debit, and then we also have the cash credit. So we can't forget to credit cash, the amount of money that we paid during the month. So we come down once again, and we don't have to put April, we can just put the 30th. Post reference is still 1, but this time it's a credit of 1,170. So we plug that in there. And now, just like we've done any other time, we have to recognize that when we're crediting cash, that means we're subtracting. So we're going to subtract 1,170 from our 2,890 and get an updated total in our cash account of 1,720. And then again, account number 110 goes right up here. So again, I just want to reiterate the importance of using a general ledger. Why do we do it? Remember that in our journal up here, this is a chronological order of all of the transactions that occurred during the month. We have to have that. However, nowhere when we look at this do we see how much is actually in our capital account. How much is actually in accounts receivable Dan Carroll? The journal doesn't tell us that. That's why we need to have a general ledger, because I can quickly open any one of these. Let's take our accounts payable, for example, and say, oh, in accounts payable for Ready Supply, we owe them $80 right now. Or I can look up our supplies and say, oh, my supplies account has $160 in it. That's the purpose of a general ledger, is to have an updated balance for every single one of the accounts that we have in our business. So now that we've completed our work together, you can go ahead and do your application, and then don't forget about your terms and questions as well.